Hey everybody, this is Brian with the Instructional Technology Coordinator team, and in this video we are going to take a look at iBooks on the iPad and just a tour of what the iBooks app looks like. So iBooks is a free app from Apple. It allows us to read iBooks and eBooks and also PDFs on the iPad, and it's a really high quality experience that has a lot of functionality and versatility to it. So we're going to take a look into it. Now, if you don't have iBooks on your iPad already, it is a free app. You can go to the App Store and search for iBooks and you will find it from there. One side note, if you have upgraded your Mac OS, so your MacBook 2 or your Mac Air, to the Mavericks operating system, you will actually, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but you'll actually be able to get the iBooks app on your Mac as well. That is only available though in Mavericks and beyond. So we're going to go ahead and hop into the app here, and there you can see it right in the center, iBooks. All right, so right now this is the bookshelf version of iBooks, and along the top you've got our different options that we can flip through. On the bottom you have different ways that we can search through iBooks, and then we've got our books here as well. One thing that I'll note about iBooks right away is that some books, when an iBook is downloaded to the iPad, it actually lives on that iPad. It's stored there. It does not require internet access to view that book. So if you have students who are going home and you know that they don't have internet access, getting them an iBook or creating one through a program like iBooks Author, which we'll review later on, is a great way to make sure they have access to it. But they have to download that iBook to their iPad right away. Here you can see iPad User Guide 5.1 that it is presently stored in the cloud. It means that I've purchased that or I've downloaded that. That one happened to be free, so purchase is somewhat of a misnomer. But it's not living on this device, which means, first of all, it's not chewing up storage space on my iPad, but it also means that it's a little bit out of the way. If I wanted to access this one and didn't have wireless, I would first have to download it when I was in a wireless environment, or I wouldn't be able to get to it. So when you see that icon, that's what that means. Now we're going to switch between two different views here. So right now I'm in the list view, but if I want to see the thumbnail view of each book, here it is. And there you can see there's that little gray cloud that means I've purchased it, but it is presently living in the cloud. If I were to go ahead and tap on it, which I'll do right now, it'll take just a second. It'll go through a downloading process, and depending on the size of that book, it can be downloaded pretty quickly like this one is, or it can take a little while. So this is something our students will definitely have to learn, is to ask the question if the iBook is on their iPad or if it's presently in the cloud. Then just a couple of other things. So you can see I've got quite a few books here, and they can get a bit overwhelming. One of the really nice features is up here in the collections option. A collection is created, aside from the ones that are bold, which come in automatically, a collection is created by you. And so coming down here and clicking New Collection, I can add something like leisure reading. And click Done. And now I have a leisure collection. Now, right now, nothing is in that. But if I want to go back to my collections, my purchased books, and yes, something leisurely like, well, there's nothing more leisurely than Macbeth. So I will come up here and click Edit. I will select Macbeth and the Scarlet Letter, another leisure wonder. You can tell I'm a former English teacher. And then I click Move. Now I'm going to move it to the collection of my choice. They're in leisure. Okay. I can have books in more than one collection, so those are also, oh, I'm sorry, you can't have them more than one place. Okay, let's see if I can move it back to that. So if I want to move them back to classics, because they're not really leisure, I can do that. I select classics, and they sit over there. They're no longer in leisure reading. Okay, so one collection at a time. Now, I'm going to go to the next area up here. Right now, I'm going to go to all books, or my purchased books. Okay, so there are all of my books. I can, though, also get to the iBook store from here. And so I'm going to go ahead and click Store. Now, store is, again, a bit of a misnomer. Yes, there is a lot of content for purchase in the iBook store, but there's also a lot of great free content. In fact, all of the books that you see here are books that I have downloaded for free. So even things like our textbooks, Okay, this is one, an introduction to biology, ecology, and energy flow, created by one of our teachers, Eric Hill. CK12 has a whole series of free stuff, probability and stats, biology. Here you can see Boundless is another free version of a lot of text that's out there. So there's some really good free content out there for educational purposes, as well as a lot of the classics, right? So Romeo and Juliet, Leaves of Grass, these are things that are available for free. And then there's a lot of content that's available out there that is free because other educators have made it available to you. So down here at the bottom, you can see right now I'm looking at my purchased books. Okay, you can also see I've got updates here for any of the books. So for an app, from a book from Apple called iPad User Guide for iOS 7, there's going to be an update available. But I can also go and search featured books. I can search top charts. Here, I like to go into the More section. And when it pops down, I will go into Education. And you get a store that's really just focused on educational uses. Okay, so it doesn't mean that they're all free. And remember, we don't want to be charging our students anything for their books. But if you can find really good content or suggestions of really good content that are free here for students to look at, and utilize, that can be really valuable. So on the bottom, things you might want to look at: books for teachers, apps for education, textbooks. So lots of really great things to look for there, okay? And then up here in the far upper right, I can also search for specific things, okay? So if I am going to look for a book on writing, all right, let's see what happens. And right here is the key. So 10 top writing tips. You'll notice that this is free. 10 things you need to know about writing. This is free. So right here you get a sense of what it looks like and how much it costs. When I click on free, the other thing I'll show you in the bookstore is this, that you can choose a sample. So even if it's a paid book, this is an option. We'll go back and I'll get you a paid book as well. Okay. Sharp Writing. Is it really worth $6.99? So we'll go and take a look in there. And when I get into it, now this one does not give me a sample. All right, so the author chose not to give a sample in that case. And this is just kind of what you need to fly through and see if they've got it available to you. So we will go ahead and look at that particular book. And there you can see for They Say, I Say, which is a great book for teaching writing. I can click sample, download a sample. That'll be in my bookshelf, okay, when it downloads. And I can see if this is a high quality one. Maybe I'm going to use this for instructional purposes. Not all my kids are going to download it, but it is something that I'd like to share with them and work with them on. Now, how do I get back to my library? By tapping on the word library at the top, I switch from the bookstore to the library. All right. And let's see if I can find my book that is downloading. So I go to Collections, Books, and there it is, 2 samples that I downloaded today, Dracula and They Say, I Say. So I go ahead and click on that, and now you can see I'm into the book. It's not going to give me the full text of the book here, okay? But I can see some things about that book. I can see if it really is just a straight, print version. Is there any sort of interactivity that's hidden inside of this? Well, the books that are well designed for the iPad will have a lot more interactivity to them. And so we'll look at that in some of the future videos that we look at. But now I can decide if this is really worth $10.99 as opposed to, or $6.99 or whatever it was, as opposed to buying it and finding out later and having some buyer's remorse on that. So that'll give you kind of a general idea of how the iBooks app itself functions. And hopefully that's enough to get you started and off looking for some great free content that's available out there to you, and using this as a tool for reading on your iPad, but also for demoing to students on your iPad.